Hey everybody, what's up? It's your boy MJ, and welcome to Before the Pour, aka 20 Questions. And you know, this is what we do before the Black Wine Guy Experience. My guest today is a second generation sommelier, restaurateur, and the U.S. ambassador for Charles. Now, is it Heidsieck or Heidsieck? Because I've heard of both.
Heidsieck.
Okay. The proper Charles Heidsieck Champagne, Philippe Andre. Many of you know him by his Instagram handle, Nique Somm. Philippe first developed a passion for hospitality and wine education growing up in the fine dining restaurant business. He answered his professional calling working as the wine director at his family's highly esteemed French-American restaurant, Oceanique, in Evanston, Illinois. There he managed a cellar of over 1,300 bottles and overseeing a dedicated sommelier team. In 2013, Philippe accepted a winemaking apprenticeship at the Montazi Estate, which is a biodynamic vineyard in the Willamette Valley of Oregon. After harvest, he returned to Chicago to join Hart Davis and Hart Wine Company, which is a fine and rare wine auction house where he sourced and shared some of the rarest wines in the world with passion collectors from around the world. With a desire to expand his skill set even further into the luxury market of wine and spirits, he accepted a portfolio manager position at, you ready? Moet Hennessy, y'all, at Southern Glazer's Wine and Spirits, where he received national awards for record sales successes on prestige champagnes and cognac. And the brother brought a stick. I mean, he got a stick. I could just see him. Next time we come to town, we're going to have some sticks and some yak, and we're going to do it all up. In 2018, Philippe was offered a chance of a lifetime and accepted the U.S. ambassador role at Charles Heidsieck to relaunch the historic brand in New York and bring the wines of, and I'm going to need your help with this, Crayères onto the grand stage they deserve. Welcome, Philippe. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Man, it feels good to be back. Let's go.
All right. Very cool, man. I like it. He's ready to go. So to warm up, I'm going to start by asking you some personal questions, followed by James Lipton's famous 10 questions from inside the actor's studio. The key, just answer them quickly, what comes off the top of your head. It's not a test. We're just like in a cipher. We're spitting some lyrics. Ready?
Okay.
All right. What is your favorite book?
The Fountainhead.
Ooh. Oh, it's not just champagne and cigars and cognac with this one. I love it. What is your favorite movie?
Count of Monte Cristo, the new one.
Oh, with Guy Pearce?
Yes.
Okay. Nice.
And, yep.
Was that Cassavetes? Jim Cassavetes?
Yep.
And
Jim Caviezel?
It's something like that. Yeah.
James Caviezel.
James, yes.
Jimmy C.
The guy from the show on CBS where he's like Black Ops. The guy who played Jesus Christ.
Yes.
That guy.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Who's your favorite musical artist?
Man. Mos Def.
Yassine Bey.
Hmm.
What's your favorite foods? Death row. I don't know why you'd be on death row, but you know, it's like your last meal, man.
My pops does a fillet with like equal portion of seared foie gras on top with escargot. That's the dish, man. That's the dish. It's pretty straightforward. I'm easy.
I'm easy. I'm on death row, and I want my not just a fillet with foie gras, but my father's recipe.
Yeah, it's on the menu. He put it on there for me. So
I love it. Who's your favorite athlete?
Oh, I think Zinedine Zidane. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Zizou.
Favorite cartoon?
I'm gonna go with like the OG X-Men. The OG X-Men cartoon was pretty lit back in the day. I watched that a lot. Otherwise, I would do Thundercats.
Yeah. Love it. Nice. Yeah. And what was your favorite cereal to eat while watching said cartoon?
Dude, probably was doing like the pops, the corn pops.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
corn pops back in the
corn
day.
pops.
Yes.
Okay.
With chocolate milk. That was on some crazy shit. Y'all don't know.
Nah,
Y'all
listen,
don't know.
he just switched it up.
When mom's ain't home, it's chocolate milk and the corn pops. Just saying.
He's like, I need an additional 250 grams of sugar
with
my
like
cereal.
Yeah, 38 grams of fat. You
Yeah.
know, sure, of course, that's the way it's done.
I like your style, man. Current exercise routine. Are you part of the Cult of Peloton or?
I'm trying to be. We ordered one, I think. Maybe not. But current exercise routine, I love. We've been doing a lot of walks. We've been exploring like the national parks and around Chicago, the lakefront. So the long walks is a key. But my real passion is beach volleyball. So that's something I'm looking forward to this summer.
Nice,
so,
very nice.
Yeah.
You have the height for it.
I'm actually the short guy, believe it or not.
No, I know because I mean it's but like no, I'm the short guy. But like I know what you mean. Like it's like the guy who's like 6'5" is a short guy in basketball. I hear.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, that's me.
Who's your favorite comedian?
Oh man, I mean, I think Chappelle has been so special in my life. So I think Chappelle has to be up there. But when it comes to movies, I think Eddie by far is like, Eddie set the stage and then went beyond it. So I think Eddie has to take the cake there.
So this is second part of that question because we got time and we got champagne. And this is bonus material, so fuck it.
Yeah.
A favorite Eddie Murphy movie?
Oh, man, come on. I mean, so many great ones. But, I mean, and the boy's got his own money, and he's got his own money. I mean, I have to go with Coming to America. It's by far this, like, saw that movie and inspired to just go out there and do me and be proud of me. So I think that's it. And a really close second would be Trading Places. I think it's a good one.
I can't go wrong with the classics, but I gotta tell you, the sneak tip one for me, Bowfinger.
Oh, Bowfinger.
Fucking
wow.
Bowfinger. Double Eddie. That's part of Eddie's
Yeah.
double Eddie movie series. But Bowfinger, come on, man.
Okay.
Bowfinger.
I hear you, but like if I wanted to go really like raunchy Eddie and like not really okay Eddie is by far the one where he's Rasputia. Why am I blanking the name of it? Literally, we watched this movie way too much. Yeah, dang, I'm blanking on the name of that
Wait,
one.
now I'm intrigued.
That was like the one that like they don't really show anymore because it's really bad. Like it's all about like body shaming and where he plays like the whole
the Nutty
What?
Professor.
Not Nutty Professor.
No, wait.
No. It's really bad. They don't play it ever
wow.
because it's really bad. Rasputia is the wife, and he plays the little guy. And he's like, oh, man, why am I blanking on this?
Wow.
My crew's going to be really upset
I
when they
know.
listen to this, 'cause
Like,
we
wow.
watch this movie like every other
See,
week.
now, because like I'm 53, man. I love all that shit.
It's
That
literally-
shit you can't say movies anymore are hilarious to me.
It's literally
and I got the producers looking it up.
The producer's looking, but I can pull it up in my
He's
Amazon.
like, I pulled on my, because I just watched that
We
shit
literally
last
just
week.
watched it. Amazon Video. Let's see here.
Because I'm going to go home and watch that shit.
Let me see if I can just Rasputia. Okay. The movie's called Norbit.
Oh, Norbit. Yeah.
Norbit.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
another. Yeah. Norbit. Yeah.
Norbit's a good one, but it's bad.
But Norbit's like, I mean.
It's a pretty raunchy one.
I know. I'm going to watch that again. Yeah. Norbit was a good one. But I love Bowfinger. He's like, just that scene where he got him crossing the highway. He's like, I don't want to be in the movies anymore.
So, yeah, his character in Norbit is actually like a little bit of that character, too.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
he takes that character on and, man, yeah.
So
Incredible.
it's funny because I have so much studio time. I digress into this because like when you said that, like, but that whole series was like Eddie kind of modeled himself after Jerry Lewis. You know, with all the multiple roles and all that crazy shit. Okay, so back to the 20 questions at hand. Who would you most like to have a bottle of wine with?
Oh man, I have to go Barack. Yeah.
And you're from Chicago too.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right, now we're going to move into the serious questions. So I'll use my.
What would you say this champagne does? One of those things. You know what I mean? It's just like, come on,
Philippe. What would you say? Yeah, dude. Like, I find a lot of similarities between the work you're doing as ambassador for Charles Heidsieck and as I did as the president of the United States, where I was essentially the ambassador.
Yeah, I was the ambassador for the United States, and you're the ambassador for a house in Ross. Is that how I pronounce it, Ross? And you're just immediately like, I don't even know what we're talking about now. You're just like, I can't. I'm just so honored to be here in your ambassadorship.
Love it.
No, yeah, he seems like a cool cat.
Yeah,
I would love to hang.
I know. We got to get him on here. We gotta get him to say "fucker."
Let's go. I'll be here too.
Or some shit. Yo, I need. Listen. Listen.
I'll pull out the big
I will
shit
get you
for that.
back. You, Andre. Fuck. I'll get my. We'll bring it. We'll bring it black.
Yeah.
And back.
Because you have to.
Because you got to. Okay. Goals. Hashtag goals. Hashtag.
The producer's like, yeah,
goals.
I'm making the call now.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yes.
Okay.
We got it.
All right.
Next week.
So we're going to go. It's actually the Proust questionnaire. And Philippe, what is your favorite word?
My favorite word. I'm gonna say the word go because let's fucking go.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And what I've been feeling since day one with Charles has just all been about energy and support and love and integrity and respect. And we've been through a lot from day one. And when I came out to New York from Chicago, I just
you're gonna have to say this shit again on the podcast.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I just had to say let's go.
I love it.
And so that's the mantra is let's go.
I love it.
Let's go.
That's like reminds Andre's like, what's your favorite? It's like fuck them. as I'm gonna do it. I've said I'm gonna do it, so I'm gonna do it. It's fuck them. All right. What is your least favorite word?
No. Don't tell me no, because I will find a way.
Love it. I love that shit.
I will make it work.
I love that.
We'll make it happen.
What turns you on?
Passion. It's contagious. I think we know it when we see it, and we feel it. And I think passion and authenticity come together. So I think passion is really important.
Love it. What turns you off?
I would say exclusion. being told that I don't belong, being told that I can't achieve or I can't, perform. I think that's the hardest thing to hear. So let's go. I'm coming for you. Y'all are in my book.
You just made the list, buddy.
Like, all right. Cool.
What sound or noise do you love?
The sound of a glass of champagne being poured, I think, is a unique one.
No doubt. No doubt. What sound or noise do you hate?
Probably my alarm in the morning. I think that's probably the noise that everybody is like, I can't stand that shit. But I keep changing it, so I like trick myself, you know?
Yeah.
Other than just like the standard one. But that OG one from my childhood, like that that one that everybody knows about.
Yeah.
That's the noise.
Like the
that's
one
the worst noise.
Neo in the Matrix when he was like
yes.
And
that scene.
And it's so funny. You're
the
right.
White Rabbit
That
scene.
is totally the classic alarm, the old school.
Yeah, they know
alarm.
it. They know it.
They nailed it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everyone had that same alarm sound.
LED that you got from fucking Radio Shack.
Yes. No, it was like, some aunt or grandma gave it to you for Christmas, and you were like,
Thanks.
you.
Yeah, you really
go hug.
A lot
okay,
of thought
gotta
went
hug you
into
now.
that
You gave me
one.
an alarm clock.
Love you too. What's your favorite curse word?
I think fuck is by far is just it explains everything without. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. So I just started reading this book. It's by this brother John McWhorter. I think he works at Columbia. He's a linguist, and it's called 9 Nasty Words. And I just started reading it, but it like really gets into like fuck and shit and how like it's a great book if you're into learning.
I'm not a B word guy. I've never been a B word guy. F is like it's so you can use it for so many great things.
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
And that's just for me is like like fuck.
Exactly. It's like fuck.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
There you go. Or like fuck my life. Anyway, it's a good one.
Fuck, that's good.
Yeah. Fuck, that's delicious.
Yeah.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Man, you know what? Like, I love speed, so I always wanted to be a fighter pilot. Then I realized I'm too big for a plane.
Yeah, that'd be a tough fit
next
for you.
Closest thing would be cars. So I think race car driver.
Another tough fit for you because you got to climb through the window.
Yeah, but you know.
But I get it.
A kid can dream.
How can we get some speed on you, man? All right.
I got a couple ideas.
I know. I'm sure you do. What profession would you not like to do?
Honestly, like I have the utmost respect for folks that, think about their community. But I mean, I think it's just, I think we're in a tough spot right now, and putting yourself in harm's way is something that I've never wanted to do. But I have the utmost respect for folks, whether it comes to military or law enforcement. I think that's something that it takes a very unique person to accept that call. Mm-hmm. So
I agree. I wholly agree with you.
I am not strong enough for that personally, but yeah, I respect it.
Nice. Lastly, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Let's go.
Hell yeah. Okay. Oh, that's perfect. Oh my God.
Let's go.
That was fun. If you want more Philippe, and I know you do, make sure you tune into our episode of the Black Wine Guy Experience. All right. Until then, let's go, motherfuckers. Peace.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks guys for having me. That was amazing. Great. Was it good for you guys?
It was good. We could stop between the picture and read it, but all right.
Hang on, I want the air on.
It is on.
It feels like they turned it off.
I can hear the air. It's on.
It got warmer. Okay.
It's the champagne.
Yeah. Did you need more champagne?
Yeah.
They don't drink themselves. I found out.
Oh shit! I love that. It's not gonna drink itself, honey.
Okay, maybe I'm better.
All right.
Thanks.
All right. So we're gonna pause for a second, and then just give me a 3, 2, 1, and we'll get going. Hey, everybody, what's up? It's your boy MJ. Welcome to the Black Wine Guy Experience. My guest today is a second-generation sommelier, a restaurateur, and the U.S. ambassador for Charles Heidsieck Champagne. Philippe Andre is in the house. Many of you know him by his IG handle, Nique Somm. Philippe first developed a passion for hospitality and wine education growing up in the fine dining restaurant business. He answered his professional calling working as the wine director at his family's highly esteemed French-American restaurant, Oceanique, in Evanston, Illinois. There he managed a cellar of over 1,300 bottles and oversaw a dedicated sommelier team. This intro, two in a row, a lot of champagne, so we just keep it authentic here on the Black Wine Guy Experience. In 2013, Philippe accepted a winemaking apprenticeship at the Montazi Estate, which is a biodynamic vineyard that's located in Oregon's Willamette Valley. After that harvest, he returned to Chicago to join one of the nation's leading rare and fine wine auction houses, Hart, Davis, and Hart Wine Company, where he sourced and shared wine, baller bottles, with passionate collectors all around the world, with a desire to expand his skill set further into the luxury wine and spirits market. He accepted a portfolio manager position with the Moet Hennessy USA team at Southern Glazers Wine and Spirits, where he received national awards for record sales success on prestige champagnes and cognac. And in 2018, Philippe was offered a chance of a lifetime and accepted the U.S. ambassador role at Charles Heidsieck to relaunch the historic brand in New York and to bring the wines of Crayères onto the grand stage that they deserve. Welcome, Philippe. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Let's go.
Philippe and I connected via Instagram. Yeah, if you guys, if you're not following him, you will be after this podcast. You just heard like there, let's go. He just has an amazing energy, and I can't think of a better person to help relaunch an iconic brand. We're going to get into that. Tell us about the wines you brought tonight, bro.
Yeah, thanks, MJ. Really proud to be here. It's been 15 months in the making to get here with you. So really excited to celebrate with one of the most iconic wines out in the world, which is Charles Heidsieck Champagne. We're a small family-owned house located in the heart of the region. The town is called Reims, about an hour outside of Paris, just northeast. And we specialize in wines that showcase not only the region, but really its depth and ability to age perfectly. I've always told folks that champagne was my first love as a somm, and one of the major reasons of that is because it defied a lot of the rules that I was taught early on with, white wines not being able to age, white wines not pairing with all types of food, and then more importantly, white wines not being as prestigious as red wines. So I'd like to say we break all those barriers at the winery. We also are kind of like the black sheep in Champagne, so it's very, very honorable and fitting that I was asked to represent
a black man with. So I got to. First of all, I know you did an IG live with Bruno Almeida, Almeida Dramalier, and what kind of? I need a new producer. She's like. You can't have fucking guests on the show who look better than me. They're both taller than me. They got better hair than me.
It's a healthy diet of champagne, foie gras. And it's really simple in cigars. You got to do.
I'm not ugly, but damn, man. I'm like shit.
I don't know. We got to talk to the producer about your makeup regimen. But I think it's those three things I was telling you: champagne, foie gras, and cigars, and we'll get you sorted. All
right, bro.
So.
All right. You mean I could grow still?
Yeah. One day you could be a champagne ambassador too. I think that's the beauty of it.
I think I could, man.
Well, I'm trying to show everybody else because a lot of people said this was not possible. A lot of people, would say that this is not realistic, and I've been told that before in interviews. So this is a big. Thank you for that motivation to be here, and so proud to be with a family that respects that I'm different and celebrates that I'm different. Yeah. So
let's definitely dive deeper into that later. But I like to start at the beginning of things. But this show's off to a great start. All right, you're from Chicago.
Yes. Yes. Evanston, just north of Chicago, where Northwestern University is. So born and raised.
So this is crazy. It's so crazy because we just had Marquita Levy on.
That's E-Town right there.
Right.
We went to the same high school, by the way.
Fuck up.
Just a few years apart, but I finally got her a bottle of proper champagne the other day. We've been on many Zoom calls. I've never met her in person, actually. And I hosted a tasting that she joined us on, and I had to send out 68 bottles of Charles Heidsieck Champagne in order to get one in her hand. So I was honored that everyone came along with us, and we got it done. E-Town.
Yeah,
Shout
E-Town. Shout out to E-Town. E-Town, Northwestern. But your name is very French.
Yeah.
And your Instagram handle is very French.
Yes.
And your family's restaurant focused on French American fusion. Help a brother out. Connect the dots.
Yeah. So let's see. So my mom was born in Evanston. My father was born in Haiti, and they met basically growing up about 2 blocks apart from each other. And so that's where I got the very French name. And I'm actually named after my uncle Philip. So it's, but everyone calls me Philippe. And so there it is. My father unfortunately passed away when I was really young, and my mother remarried a chef who has a French restaurant. And so it just all kind of, came together that way. It's a fascinating place where I came from, but I think it makes so much sense when you get to spend some time with me.
For sure. So, like, that's interesting because it's very French. All that the French influence because of Haiti but like I know like Chicago area has a lot of Eastern European influence. Like, did that ever?
I'm half Polish and half Haitian, so there you go.
Okay,
we are like the largest amount of Polish folks outside of Warsaw is the Chicagoland area, and then there just happened to be like a pocket of Haitian families that all came to Evanston because there was a Haitian family that was there and they were helping people get jobs, and it just that's how it happened. It's crazy.
Yeah. I love those stories of like, people of color, like in, fucking Minneapolis, which has been news, but there's so many people from Somalia. Like, it's just like one person comes and then they help other people, and that's how you end up with. You're like, why is there a Haitian population? Because someone came and was like, yo, listen, we're finding our American dream. We're gonna help you find your American dream. But that's very interesting. Yes.
I mean, literally, it's really simple. It's it's safe and there's work. So if you come through, and that's it.
And people take that for granted. People understand like so many people like come from countries like Haiti. I mean, Haiti paid a huge price for liberating itself like before 1800. Like they've been just embargoed and just kept out of trade because they were like, get the fuck out of here, France. Like, and they paid a price. So it's not a safe place. I mean, it's the poverty. So like you said, like the safety, right? Like, I mean, and it's also like in Poland, like World War II, people, escaped. But then you have this melting pot. So, wow. So he's half Polish, half Haitian. I'll explain that good ass hair.
I say I'm Polatian.
Polatian.
Polatian. So, yeah. I haven't met many other Polonites like myself.
No.
There's a few out there.
I actually dated a woman who was Polish and Jamaican, half Polish and Jamaican, but it's not Polatian. It's Polmakian. We're making up words here today. So you mentioned earlier your family is in a restaurant business, and you said your stepfather had a restaurant. Tell me about that restaurant.
Yeah, so my father worked for a very famous French chef out in the suburbs of Chicago, this restaurant called Le Foncé. And in its heyday, it was essentially like, it was the French Laundry. People flew in. There's a private airstrip nearby it in Wheeling, and people would literally fly in on their private jets from all over the world to go and have dinner there. And so my pops was there for a few years, and that's really where he got exposed to haute cuisine. But he was already on his way, but that's a whole nother story. And I've been fortunate to meet a lot of other chefs that spent time working in that kitchen under Chef Jean Blanchet, and it shows in his cuisine. It shows in his dedication to his craft, and just the techniques that he picked up there that were passed on from generations of French chefs. But his dream was always to open his own restaurant, and so when he had the opportunity, he jumped at it. So found a location in Evanston, just south Evanston, not too far from the city, but not too far into the burbs. We just celebrated our 32nd year in February. So we made it, and we're proud that we are still here, and the community's really rallied behind us from day one when everything kind of hit the fan. And I've done what I could to help out. It's really hard to feel like you're on the sidelines of this, but Yeah, we made it, and we're going. You know, it's incredible.
I mean, I had a buddy on. He's a chef, and he's at a restaurant. People don't understand how hard it is to keep a restaurant going.
Yeah.
For a fucking year.
Yeah.
Let alone
No.
32, man.
I'll tell you, it's really simple. You work on consistency. So my pops cooks on the line every night. I mean, he's not a expediter, so he stands there in his spot. I always joke that, you know, on any given day, usually I can look at my phone and I can know where he is because he stands in that spot, literally, you know. And I think one of these days we got to put like a gold plaque in his spot on the floor. It'd be amazing to do that for him. He's definitely earned it. So he specializes in seafood and mostly fish. So French fish. He has a beautiful influence of Asian cuisine as well, Korean and Japanese. But he's the fish guy. So anything, you know, that's you can be rest assured he's been FedExing fish to his place since the 80s. You know, before anybody else was doing it. Always working with the best purveyors. And showcasing what it's like to have a dining experience that's very regal and at the same time just really thoughtful. So the other incredible thing is that he knows and is super passionate about wine. And so that was an incredible influence on me, and the ability that he had to invest into our cellar. At one point we had over 1,300 different selections on the list. That's not something easy to pull off without you know, the financial backing of an owner usually. And so when you have a chef that is the owner that understands what, you know, wine can do for your meal and the experience with the cuisine, you know, it's pretty incredible combination. Yeah.
So what was that like as a kid, man? Were your parents always working? Were you sitting at the? Because first of all, like you went to one of the best public school systems in the country.
Oh yeah.
So we're like you're sitting at the bar doing your homework, you know?
Yeah, I was a restaurant brat. I mean, pretty much after school, I would get a ride from a friend, you know, a friend's parents to take me to either the restaurant or to our apartment at the time, and you know, depending on the day, I usually was at the restaurant. So I found my way there. Well, the restaurant's not open for lunch, so typically I could hang there. And then there were nights even where, you know, I would go to the restaurant to hang out, and you know, they're doing their thing after work, and I'm there. I used to love playing on the computer in my mom's office, so it was like it was a good trade-off. You know, I got to go do that and have that experience. But I grew up in that environment, and more importantly, I just saw hospitality. I saw small business life. I saw passion, and I saw creativity all come together at an early age. And you know, we valued wine and food in a very different way than most of my friends did growing up. And there was so many instances where I tried to share some of that with my friends by either bringing them to our restaurant for dinner or, you know, taking friends out to dinners with us. And it was just so interesting because I realized it's almost like a religion, you know. And you're like, you're in church and you're like, I don't know this prayer, but like I want to be respectful. And so that's probably the way that my friends felt like when we took them out to, like, you know, a Japanese restaurant, and they're like, I've never had sushi before, and we're like, you know, you're 9, like, catch up. You know, like, what are you doing? Like let's go.
What's wrong with you, man?
So that was my, you know, that was my world. And there were summers where, you know, the restaurant would close for about a month so that my pops could travel and go meet another chef and have some time off. And, you know, there's a summer where I'm trying to do like sports, and it's like, well, we're going to this country to go meet this chef. Like, so what do you want to do? You know, it's like, do you want to do sports? Do you want to go do this? And so yeah, that was my world growing up. It's pretty crazy.
Totally crazy. It's so cool. Like, now, you know, you want to play basketball? You want to go meet this Michelin star chef?
Yeah. Yeah. And I, you know, at the time I'm like, I want
to play basketball.
Yeah. What is this place? El Bulli in Spain? Like, I don't know. Like, what, you know, what, why? Okay, fine. Let's go. All right, let's go.
I mean, it's so funny, but I mean, it's just amazing, right? Like, I want to back up to something you said. So, also another thing I don't think people understand who don't really work in hospitality, like, it's actually pretty easy to cook a fucking steak. Like, to cook fish really well, like that's like that's because it can go south so fast. And the fact that that's what he did was the fish guy.
He was the fish guy.
And then also you said, because I've had other guests on, like most restaurants have investors, people who put up a shit ton of money to open the restaurant, and then Somms get to go. It's like a kid in a candy. Woo! It's like a kid in a candy store. Like you just go auction and go ape at the auction, like Jay-Z said, and you're fucking buying bottles. Like how have you talked to your dad? Like how did he come to understand the importance of food and wine, and how was he able? I mean, like to curate a list like that, because this is on his own dime. I mean, that's some.
Yeah, I mean, he did find some initial investors to help him open, but it was extremely, on a shoestring budget. What he had was great talent around him. He had great experiences from travel and his previous work experience. So I think he knew kind of what it could be, and then eventually he would just refine it and refine it and refine it. And one of the things that I was just so impressed to hear once I kind of got a little more involved in the business and to see is that he would reinvest in the business by buying more wine. So it was literally like, I'm not going to buy a new kitchen. I'm going to buy, more Burgundy, and so it takes a very kind of a little crazy person, but also just a very well thought out person to understand that, look, like that is an investment that goes into your property. It's an elevated experience for your guests, and you obviously can charge for that experience when you have the right wines. And so I think a lot of operators and restaurateurs usually don't have any wine or hospitality experience. And so they look at a sommelier or a wine director as someone they have to have, but they try to pay them the least amount possible.
Like, I got to pay somebody else.
And then they give them,
they
give them the most ridiculously small budget, so they can't even use their craft to grow a community. And I think that's some of the things that I've seen over the last few years that's been really hard to watch, is these restaurant groups that are medium sized and they look so sexy and they spend a ton on the design and they've got the the famous chef, and they literally are trying to bring in a Somm for $50,000, and their monthly booze budget is like, okay, we've got 100 wines and we can't afford to buy more wines. We can only afford to buy our wines by the glass. Like, why are you even hiring a Somm then?
Yeah.
Just pay a consultant to do the list and then hire a manager. Like that's it. And it's tough because it literally strangles our profession. So going back to my father, I got really lucky learning from someone that understood the business, I think, understood the opportunity of the profession. And it was obvious that we needed that person. I didn't know that I was going to be that person until it hit me. And I realized that, wine is a language you can connect with people that no matter what their background is, in a few short questions or moments, we're instantly in sync. And the experience can be so much greater than if somebody were just pick up the book and look through it and say, I want that one. And then, go on with their meal.
L7, please.
Yes. I'll take bin number 22,
M22.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's I totally understand. No disrespect to the bin numbers. That's totally get it. But what I loved is being able to kind of be like a DJ, like a cellar DJ, and create a playlist, and people come in and say, yo, I really liked that jam last time. Hit me with another one, hit me with another jam, because that was a burner last time. And then next thing you know, they're like, dude, you know what? You got the playlist, just go. Here's the budget, just go. And then now you're like, yeah, we're grooving. So, yeah.
So you obviously these experiences really helped shape your palate, being exposed to crazy. I mean, to this high level of cuisine and dining at a young age. In the research, I mean, did you go off to college? What did you do after you graduated from high school?
Yeah, I went to school to play sports, and I quickly found out that I'm a person of color. And unfortunately, I was put in a tough spot, and I wasn't really ready for it. I think growing up in Evanston, I was in very much of in a bubble.
Yeah.
And when I left Evanston, I went to school in Virginia. I was not in Evanston anymore. And I had a pretty horrific experience there that took me years to really kind of reflect on. but it wasn't the right space for me. And I ended up leaving school early and came back to Evanston, and I started working for my family. And next thing you know, I was like, this is it. Like, I'm into this. I want to learn about wine. So I'm studying, I'm reading every book I could, really trying to focus on what drove me, like finding what I loved and what I wanted. And so that was a big turning point for me to push into that world and say, you know what, like, I'm not going to go the normal route that everybody, is telling me to or is expecting me to. But more importantly, I just felt like I believed in our business, in the wine industry, and more importantly, hospitality. I had no idea where it would take me, to be quite honest with you, but I believed in it, and I had to just push. So, yeah.
So you come back from Virginia, and you're going all in, and you love hospitality. How long did you work? How long did you work for your family restaurant? And did your dad?
I'm still working for them, man. Once you're in the family, you never get out. It's like, you answer the call late and you become a consigliere or whatever.
I was gonna say, it's like you're still an advisor. All right, so
I'm still going.
Let me, I'll rephrase, Your Honor.
Started when I was 7.
I'll rephrase, Your Honor. When you got back, did he just hand over the reins to wine to you, or like how did you transition into
this? This place is my pop's dream, and I had to show him that I was committed, and I also had to do a lot of growing up at the same time, so a lot of maturation and refinement, understanding what I wanted. It started with valeting cars, hosting, bussing tables, washing dishes, finally taking some tables, and then, becoming more of a maitre d' and a manager / sommager /
sommager. That's
slash
a new
mixologist.
fucking term.
It is a terrible term, by the way. I hate
sommager.
It. But no, I just showed him that I was eager to learn more and to really give back and invest my time in the business. And I think he saw it as somebody that, he saw that I had, a little something, with the customers. And I think because of my ability to feel confident, because it was my home, and I knew how much effort my parents put into it. I knew how important it was to be better. I think he saw that I was committed to being that person. And so eventually I got the reins of the wine program and the front of the house and, the beverage program. And it was almost 10 years that I spent on the floor. So, yeah, it was a crazy, crazy ride. I always joke that I think I was fired 120 times in that 10 years. But I was just, it would just show up on Monday and everything's okay. But, no, I learned a lot. Yeah.
I mean, I know, we live in this world, and I was talking to another guest about this where, social media is an amazing thing, but it also there's a side of it that makes things seem easier than they are to achieve.
Yeah.
I know the type of dedication it takes to do fine wine at the highest level. 10 years, right? You said, you started as a valet, you do this, and you were the toilet's clogged. You would probably plunge in the toilet.
I've seen it all, man. I can't say I've done it all, but I've seen it all.
but kind of speak to that. Because obviously we'll delve into this more later. But you have it's now that I'm sitting with you, it's completely you, your personality on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
But I read somewhere, one of my favorite things, it takes 10 years to become an overnight success, right? It's like you said, it really took you, what kept you going during this time period to what drove you to keep learning and to keep improving and to want to be in this game at the highest level?
I think what we're drinking right now, honestly, you taste something unique and you're like, wow, this is why I put up with all that bullshit. This is such a unique experience. Being able to be taken into history or to a place, wine becomes that inspiration to say, look, you have to do this in order to get this experience. And, you know, I never saw it as like a monetary thing. I saw it as I wanted to have and share those experiences with others. And so I think for me, it was every night there was an opportunity to have that type of rewarding experience with a guest. And so it kept kind of filling my cup, you know, in terms of like the success of building a team and having the team work well and grow and develop and become stronger. And in many ways, I felt like I was like a coach, you know, and I was managing my own team. At the same time, you know, I could show them how it's done. You know what I mean? Like, so it was very, very cathartic in that way of like you get to the office, you put in the work, and you can look your client in the eye and say, look, we took great care of you, and we hope to see you again. And then they come back next week, and you're like, great, that was the ultimate seal of approval that we're onto something here. So I think for me, it was tough because, again, a lot of the expectations I had from my family and a lot of close friends was that I should be going to business school or I should be going to law school. And instead, I believed in this hospitality world of taking care of others and, more importantly, finding my passion through wine through those experiences. And yeah, I didn't know it at the time, but I needed that. I needed that time for sure in order to get to where I am now. Yeah.
So what had you apply to or accept the winemaking apprenticeship in Willamette Valley at Montage, and how that come to fruition?
I know there's going to be some Orwine fam listening, so I have to say it's Willamette.
I know. And you know what?
Because they said it to me when I got there.
I did a
like,
IG Live. It's Willamette, damn it. And I'm like, I'm from Jersey. Fuck it.
I know it's your show. I'm not here.
No, you're not. Listen, no, thank you for correcting me.
But I got you,
all the
fam.
time. Good looking out. See, that's why it's not about me. It's about the guests.
No.
I surround myself with people who are smarter than me.
That is a great rule to live by. Hence, producer over here. So for me, I felt like I had reached a point professionally at the restaurant that we were either going to open another restaurant or I needed to grow in some way professionally. And it was hard to make that decision because to take that apprenticeship, I had to leave for a long period of time, and it was a big commitment. So I think for me, it was just like, look, you know, the restaurant is my father's dream, and it's not mine. It was a place, an incubator for my dream. And so I found my dream there. And I knew that I needed to push myself into a different space in order to see if that was attainable. And so production was something that I always saw was like super noble, and like, you know, like you're working together as a team, you're busting your ass. Very similar to like if anybody ever played football, you know, you look next to your left and right, and you can accept that this is going to suck, but we're going to get it done together. And then you're going to come out of it and being like, wow, I can't believe we accomplished that as a team. Right. So that for me was a big turning point in my life. Without that decision, I don't think I would be in the role that I'm in right now, because I think I could easily have still been at the restaurant. But it really started from my opportunity going out to Oregon for what's called Oregon Pinot Camp. And the way that I was received and welcomed was unreal. To have that experience to the whole community of the Valley, it made me want to be a part of the community there. And so I was like looking for a way to be involved in some sort of, you know, facet. I did look at apprenticeships in Sonoma. I wanted to, you know, make Pinot and Chardonnay. But when the opportunity came in Oregon, I was like, yeah, I have to do this. So,
talk about, so it's interesting. So you said you wanted to make Pinot and Chardonnay. Why Sonoma and Oregon? Because I listen. Well, Russian River Valley, Sonoma Coast, Chards and Pinots, they're some of my standard go-tos. You know what I mean? Like, so like, how did you kind of zone in on those regions?
Cheapest for me to get to.
Okay.
And I don't speak French, so yeah. I'm the
Pardon?
Yeah, I'm the one.
Philippe Andre?
Yeah, I have
Je ne
super
parle
French. I don't speak
pas.
French.
Je ne parle pas
So
français.
I probably could have, you know, did it, but getting my foot into Burgundy would have been much more challenging.
Yeah.
I think I would love to do a harvest in Burgundy, maybe 5 years ago, but I think for me it was less intimidating to go into the U.S. and feel confident that I could really be hands-on and involved and not be like, what did he say? I have no idea what he's telling me to do. I have no what to do. You know what I mean? And like, that's the reason why. And then, secondly, again, I think Oregon Chardonnay and Pinot is better than Sonoma. So that's just kind of my preference. But
it's all preference. I've come up on some that are very good. I'm a little bit older than you, but some of them, every region has to struggle to find its area. But now, like, there's some people who are making there's some killer shit coming out without a doubt.
I'm no shade on my Cali fan.
No, I know,
I'm just saying.
No, I know. And that's
I just like terroir and vintage variation.
Oh, come on, dog.
No,
all right.
No shade.
He said it's like 85 layers of shade there.
No, I'm kidding. I'm really kidding.
Okay. I'm sorry.
I think
8.5. Not 85. No, I know what you're saying.
No, I felt wanted.
Yeah.
I felt wanted.
No, I was going to ask you that.
I was, there was nobody in Sonoma that was calling me, being like, "Yo, come through."
Exactly. So
It's
like,
different.
I mean, and like, so like, tell me about that was it called a Pinot Camp?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about Pinot Camp, because I had a similar, like, I ended up in Santa Barbara because the first place I went to the Central Coast Wine Classic.
Okay.
And like, people like, you should move here. And for 3 months later, I moved. I'm like literally people like were nice and wanted me. So
yeah.
What was Pinot Camp about, and like what was that like?
It's-
Because you're a person of color, you're a big
Yeah.
dude, you have a personality to match your stature. Like, they were like, what was that like?
So the Oregon Pinot Camp is pretty straightforward. It's 240 wine professionals from all over the world descend upon the Willamette Valley for 2 days, and they are broken up into 7 teams, and each team gets their own yellow school bus. And they drive you around the valley for 48 hours, essentially tasting and meeting all the
Is there
people.
a short bus? Is like one. I'm just
Thankfully, there is not a short bus.
Okay.
I think they could probably make an excuse for one for you, not an example. But no, it literally was like camp. It reminded me of being back, in that time.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a lot of nostalgia, which was great. But it was just so incredible to have the access to the producers, their properties. And they came up with cool days and activities that you could pick. I mean, it's a brilliant idea. Honestly, I got to steal it. I got to do a champagne camp. I mean, honestly.
Oh, dude.
We got to do a champagne camp.
love it. You heard it here first. Champagne Camp is coming. We bringing it to y'all.
Yes.
Or at least he is. I don't know if he's going to invite me after we finish up.
Oh, no, there's always room. There's always room.
There's always room.
Because we got to bring some color to champagne. We talked about it the other day at the call that I was on. I was like, let's make champagne black. Yes.
Yes,
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So, Mumtazi, that was it's a biodynamic estate, right?
Yeah, so family-owned property. They make wine. The label of the winery is called Mesara. And
See,
so
I was gonna say it's Mesara. I'm you know what? I majored in communications. I speak pretty well, but this is where the Jersey comes out. Like I'm like Willamette, and I know it's Willamette, but like
That's-
and how do you say it? Mesara.
Mesara.
Okay, there we go. Mesara.
Yeah. And so, I got invited to work there, and there was another apprenticing winemaker from Australia. And so it was literally like me and him, washing, cleaning, moving, everything
All
you could
the
ever imagine.
sexy stuff you think about when you think about wine. It's like,
no, you name
go
it.
clean that fucking
I
tank.
cleaned it.
Move that over here.
I got my power washing badge, so when you see all my medals from that year's harvest,
You have the
I'm a professional power washer.
WSET power washing certificate.
and here I am, this kid who I was wearing like Tom Ford suits, selling DRC on the floor, and now I'm power washing old barrels and moving bins and scrubbing them by hand and all the fun stuff. And that's the beauty of our craft, is that when you have that experience, you understand what it takes to make a bottle of wine. Mm-hmm. And I remember kind of being halfway through harvest, or I would say, towards the latter part, and my hands were literally soaked they were soaked red from just all the work with dirt and juice. And I remember seeing a winemaker, Jason Lett from the Irie Vineyard, and I remember he grabbed my hand, he turned it over, he goes, "Those are honest hands.
You're one of us now.
You're one of us.
Yeah.
You know, you put in the work. Okay, now we can go have a taco and drink some beers. You know."
Yeah.
And that was, again, you know, like a badge of, or initiation, approval,
Rite of passage.
Rite of passage.
Yeah.
And, you know, the experience of just really working together as a team and getting it done was so rewarding. And, yeah, incredible experience.
So you have that amazing experience, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And you confirmed what I've heard for years, and I've lived in wine country, is like,
get in, get out.
Get in, get out. But also it's like tacos and beers. Like we're not drinking Pinot Noir. Like we want some fucking beer and some tacos.
Pinot shit's boring.
Exactly.
You can't drink it every day.
You can't drink it every day.
What you can drink every day is champagne. Absolutely.
The dude is a professional. He's got that champagne plug-in. All right, so you come back to Chicago.
Yep.
And then in the research my production team did, I didn't realize we had this in common. We both worked in wine auctioneering.
Yeah, so I got an opportunity to come back and work for Hart Davis Hart. I was not an auctioneer. I was just mostly working with clients selling either wine retail or.
Yeah, and I never had Tom Ford suits, so I mean, like I understand. I think I was up there in like some, some Bobo clothes auctioneering.
YOLO,
exactly.
But what I loved about that is it affirmed, in my opinion, that hospitality is something that can transcend almost any industry. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you take care of people, you do right by them, and you're in the right place, and more importantly, you can show something really valuable to your clients. And I'll never forget one of the first weeks I was there. There was a client that was hosting a dinner, and something happened. A bottle that the client needed for one of these like crazy horizontal dinners did not show up or was missing, and our marketing director at the time, Mark Smoller, I believe, called a local restaurant here in New York to arrange to have a bottle sent on loan to fit, and then we basically replaced the bottle. Mm-hmm. And I just remember it being like a crazy couple hours of like, can we pull this off? Can we pull this off for this client? And we did, and he did a great job. And it just showed me, I was like, whoa, okay, all right, like I'm in the right place. And not only that, I mean, the wines and the clients that we had, it was the tip of the spear. I'd never experienced the wine world like that. It was like the budgets were limitless. Mm-hmm. The craziest wines were available. Mm-hmm. And, the provenance was impeccable. Mm-hmm. And so being able to tie all those three things together, it was like, holy shit, like we're not just drinking Cheval Blanc, we're drinking 49 Cheval Blanc out of Magnum on a Tuesday just to like see how it's doing right now. Like, cause that's just what we do, And so I'm standing around, some of the greatest wines ever produced with incredible amount of age. And I'm picking up how clients buy, how they operate, what they like, how they like to be taken care of, and why they buy, or sometimes like how bizarrely, the requests are. But it just showed me like another side of the world in wine that I'd never been exposed to before. I thought I was cool, selling, a couple bottles of DRC every quarter at my little hole in the wall restaurant. Mm-hmm. Instead, this was like, how do we get more cases, of that? And how, like whatever you can get it all.
I mean, that's like, that was my fortune to fall into. Like, it's a different world. That's a whole, when you talk luxury, like literally, you go to these client dinners and you're sitting there and the fucking bottles that are just being poured and just brought out, like you said, on a Tuesday. Mm-hmm. You mentioned that Cheval Blanc. Cheval Blanc's one of my favorite wines ever.
It's all right. It's all right.
Yeah.
It's a little old school. You're showing your age now.
Yeah, I know. But,
You still got a pager?
I got a Sky pager.
Producer's like, yeah, I got a pager.
I got a Sky pager. Wait, what was I? I had a page in that pager, son. You weren't even. I don't even. You were even born, man.
For the record, I was not cool enough to have a pager, so I'm super jelly.
What were some other just baller bottles you had when you were working in the auction world? Like, what are some, like, just rocked your world bottles?
I mean, Henri Jaillet, by far, like, stupid. Just seeing stuff like that I remember talking about with my pops, because my dad had some, and we would talk about it, how legendary it was, and more importantly, the producer himself, and how he revolutionized Burgundy and winemaking. And it was just so amazing because, like, when I was at Oceanique, our customers, nobody knew who Henri Jaillet was or is. And I would even say, even in Chicago, there's like, you go in the fine dining Somm world, nobody knows that wine. Now I feel like people kind of do, but there's still a lot of people that I'll say, yeah, we still have a couple mags of Jaillet in the cellar, and they're like, what's Jaillet? And you're like, oh, okay, like, okay, like, see you when I see you.
Yeah,
you know?
Like, we got this Bourgogne for you. That might be a better bottle.
But no, I think what it showed to me was that my pops knew his shit. I mean,
yeah,
like
that's kind of
another producer like Pure Roque, incredible Burgundy house producer. I mean, my dad had this stuff in the cellar before it was obviously crazy expensive now, and we drank that shit like just for us. You know, we sold a couple, but we drank a lot of them. And in Chicago, the access is very different for restaurants than here in New York. I'm super jelly of a lot of the wines that come into this town, but I get it. We're a second city, you know. I get it. No, you know, I get it.
I mean,
it's no comparison. People.
The reality
I love my
is,
Chicago fan.
I mean, the reality is, it comes over on a container and then it gets trucked over to you guys, or doesn't.
Yeah.
Or doesn't.
Or
you know what I mean? Or
yeah.
doesn't.
No, I get it. 12 cases come to the U.S. Why would it leave New Jersey? I mean, it's really simple.
Yeah.
There's no reason for it. So yeah, I think those wines, being able to see them with age and obviously incredible provenance, were unreal. That was like when I was getting into my whole like Grand Cru Burgundy phase of drinking old stuff cheap. It was a perfect time where those wines were really accessible. I was buying them back from Hart Davis Hart to drink on my own, and that's when I really started doing the gram thing. IG had just came out, and I loved being able to kind of tell a story with a picture. And so that was like the beginning of, you scroll all the way down to my beginning post of IG. It's like, yeah, I was probably a Hart Davis Hart. And I was probably drinking some stupid shit, you know?
Yeah. I mean, here's where my age is going to show. I would be the king of Instagram if there was fucking Instagram in the 90s with the fucking shit we used to do.
Oh yeah. No,
but
it
was literally like, it wasn't, I mean, who knew it was going to be a thing? Like, no one even took pictures. It was just like, we've opened 50 bottles of wine that are amazing. So what a great night. Like now it's like, the wait staff's taking pictures and posting. They didn't even have any of that shit.
I know. You didn't even drink those wines.
Drink it, bro.
And you're posting them. No, like, I love the Somms that post the lineups at the end of the night, like their coolest bottles that they sold or whatever. And I actually used to do that on Facebook, but I realized that, on Facebook, nobody else other than your friends can see it.
Right, because it's not tribe. It's what's nice about Graham is you can get your tribe.
Yeah, you find your world. Yeah, you use a couple hashtags, and now the whole world sees what you're doing. But what I loved about it is, for me, I mean, I kind of had a chip on my shoulder being up in Evanston, is that I feel like the Chicago Somms didn't know what I was doing and what I had,
right?
Because this is pre-social media, so they're like, "Oh, this is kid from Evanston. Like, what's he doing at this DRC tasting? Like, he's a DRC client. Like, oh, okay. Like, he probably sells a bottle." And it's like, yo, if you only saw our cellar, fam. So I would post lineup pictures on Facebook, and obviously, anyways, they were like a tree falling in the woods. Yeah. So what I love about it though is, when you see Somms that post their lineups, you get a sense of like what they think is cool,
right?
What they're proud of, what they sold, and then also the caliber of clientele that comes into their spot,
right,
and their list.
Like, if you can read. There's a
major.
It's easy.
Like,
it's not even read between the lines. It's just right. It's out there blatant. But but you have to have the experience to discern what's going on.
And then all you have to do is send a quick note, being like, "Yo, how was that tasting? I have a couple in the cellar," and they're like, "Oh shit, you have from the cellar? Yeah, that was really good." And next thing you know, like, "Yeah, we see eye to eye, we're good. Yeah, oh, when are you coming to town? Great, all right, yeah. Boom,
yeah."
And now you get the tribe,
right?
Like, yo, we get it,
right?
Let's roll,
right?
Or Let's go.
So listen, man. We're gonna take a quick break. I'm gonna pour myself some of this other bottle you brought, the 2006 Blanc de.
You want me to pronounce that one too?
No, I'm gonna pronounce it like me, and you're gonna do it correctly. Blanc de Millionaires.
All right, we'll fix that on the way
He's
back.
gonna feel the way back. All right, so hang on, we'll be right back. Okay, we're back, and my shit's about to get corrected by the U.S. ambassador for Charles Heidsieck Champagne. So what's the second bottle you brought?
Yeah, so the first wine we had was our flagship wine. This is called the Brut Reserve. And the second wine we're moving to is a vintage wine. And this is really special for us. We've only made this wine 6 times since 1983. And so we call this wine Blanc de Millénaire. And this is really an homage to our cellar, to our Crayères, to showcase the legendary access we have to incredible Chardonnay and the most unicorn of cellars of all, which is our Crayères under the city of Reims. So this is an homage to our cellar and to our OG winemaker, Daniel Thibault, who created this blend. It's 5 crews from the Côte de Blanc, and literally they all have to come online at the same time. So the stars have to line literally in the vineyard and in the cellar to create this experience. So 10 years on lease. This is our new baby. We just released it last fall. So proud to have it in your glass. Only a few of these bottles have even made it to New York yet because obviously things.
Because you're like, fuck New York, I'm in Chicago now. He's
No.
like, no, I'm just playing.
No, it's just it's a unicorn wine, and honestly, a lot of people sleep on it. Where I always joke that don't joke. This wine for me is like the Dark Knight of champagne. This is the Batman,
which I love.
You know?
Christian Bale as
yeah,
Batman.
Yeah, of course. I mean, this is the black label, and it's very unassuming. But when it gets in your glass, you're like, whoa, shit, this is something very different than anything else I've ever had. So.
No, it's a beautiful package. Now, let's talk about your champagne and your role as an ambassador for Charles Heidsieck. How'd that come about? I mean, we've weaved your way through your journey, but like, did they just call you? Like, how'd that happen, man?
Yeah. So. I left the auction house and went to another champagne importer, and I learned that side of the business.
That was Moet Hennessy, right?
It's called Moet Hennessy. It's a Dutch family name.
You know what's so dope? This is why this is perfect. I love it.
There was a saying we had in the office. It was no way Moet. That's how you remember that one. And then the other one, which everyone butchers, is Veuve.
Oh.
So not instead of Veuve,
yeah,
it's love, not and Veuve.
I love it, man.
I love Veuve. That's how you help.
I'm a poet, and I call it Moet.
No, shout out to the LVMH fam. But no, so I spent some time there, and I saw kind of how they manage their business and how they manage their brands, and I had an incredible experience. But I really always wanted to be, more
you won
involved.
awards though, right? Like you were selling the shit out of that.
I did put up a couple of things on the shelf. I put a few things on the shelf.
He's so modest.
Yeah. But I realized that I was just, there was an army, and I was just a little pawn in the army, and I wanted to be a little more in charge. I wanted to be a little more involved, and I knew that really wasn't possible there at the time. So I left and I started my own consultancy. Managing some brands, businesses, and their events.
What year was that?
This was 2017.
Okay.
2017. Right. And so I was doing events in like 16 states for various brands, and I got a call from a former competitor who's a dear buddy of mine, and he was like, "Hey, Philippe, these guys are looking for somebody. I don't know if you're interested, but I think you're the perfect person for it." And I was like, "Okay, like what is it?" And he was like, "It's Charles Heidsieck, and they're looking for an ambassador." And I was like, "Oh man, like I've seen those ambassador roles. Like some of them are just very like marketing facing. Like you're on, you stand and wave, type of things." And I was like, "I don't know if this is for me, but Champagne is my baby. Like to be able to work for a champagne house, one is just always been a dream, and then two, I wanted to think a little more about what this role would entail. And so I did my work. I looked into the brand and kind of saw some of the history a little bit more. And frankly, I was shocked at how hard it was for me to find information on the brand. In Chicago, I was just like, I've not seen the brand anywhere really. And I was like, well, it's really only one way. And then up, all you can do is go up, right? So I took the call, and I had a great chat with the VP of the Americas. I think we talked for almost 2 hours about life, about champagne, about the business, about where things could go. And I realized that this person was very much curious about learning who I was, rather than just being like, this is what we need or what we want. And I was like, oh, wow, this is very different than LVMH. Like this is a very different experience. And so we continued the conversation, and eventually they were like, look, we are going to hire somebody for this role. Would you be interested in applying? And so I went through that kind of process, and it was a crazy ride. I mean, I didn't expect much of it personally, because I'd been in experiences before where I was, either told that, we're going to go with the white guy because he's a white guy, or whatever. And
you need to listen to the episode I did with my boy Michelangelo, where he said, first of all, it's a white boy's game. Like, let's just be honest.
Yeah.
And you're a big black dude.
I mean, I got some work to do in the gym for sure.
No, I mean tall, like, you know what I'm saying? I don't mean you.
Yeah.
Come on, bro. I ain't dishing you, bro.
I appreciate that. No, and I think for me at that point, I was so kind of fed up with meeting with brands that were, looking for another robot or looking for somebody that was not, me. That I was like, look, I'm going to be really honest. Like, this is who I am. Go and look at my Instagram. That's very much me. And if you're not into that, then this isn't the right fit. And they were like, no, we're good. Like, no, we want that. And so it was. I can joke that it was love at first sight, but it truly was. And I'll never forget. Like, they invited me to come out to New York a couple weeks before I officially started to meet with our winery director, Stephen LaRue, and also our legendary winemaker, Régis Camus, for Rare Champagne. And I just thought it was so sweet and generous of them to say, hey, look, you don't need to do this because you're not officially starting the job, but we'd love for you to be here to meet everybody, And so I was like, yo, okay. I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. So I came out for a couple of days, and I'd already signed, by the way, to take the job. So I already knew this was happening. But it was just like, from day one, they were like, yo, like, you're the guy. Like, go do it. Go kill it, And I'll never forget that first coffee I had with Steven. I was super nervous. It was like, 9 a.m. at his hotel before his day. And I asked him, I was like, Steven, how do I represent Charles in the United States? And he goes, Philippe, you don't understand. You tell us how to represent Charles in the U.S. And I think that just, for me, was like, I'm home. Like, this is the place for me. And, I was like really super excited and proud that I had found a place that I could be me, celebrate me, and like go and kill it. Yeah. Because I knew that I didn't have anything holding me back. Yeah. And I remember just like, it was like the mama I made it moment, like, okay, like, we were right. We did the right things. And yeah, the rest was history after that. It was pretty obvious. I was like, I'm going to go disrupt all this shit. Like, all of the things that I was told not to do before, I'm doing all of them. And I'm going to show you how much fun wine and, more importantly, our brand can be.
I love it. At the end of the show, too, I'm going to do a recap of all the pronunciations I messed up. But
don't ask me to spell these words, though.
No, but
I will correct you on how to pronounce it, but spelling is a different story.
Anyway, I want to go back to something you said before. you said you were doing like your due diligence. You didn't use the word due diligence, but you couldn't find a lot about Charlie. He's got a crazy backstory. Tell everybody about
Oh man, Chuck.
Charlie.
Yeah.
Chuck.
Champagne Charlie. So, what I will give you the short version because this literally is a long one.
Listen, man.
No,
This is
I'm
what
telling
we
you.
do.
No,
We
this is
drink
crazy.
wine and talk. We have plenty of time.
The stories are crazy. There is literally a 3-hour movie on YouTube about Champagne Charlie.
Okay, but you know what? So give us the short version. We can get at least 30, 45 minutes out of it.
Okay.
I'm just like, no.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
My
No.
wife will kill me if I
okay.
stay here any longer.
No,
I'm kidding.
we good. But I'm saying we have plenty of time, and like this is gonna be fun. And I know I've heard dribs and drabs on some lives you've done, but Champagne Charlie, Chuck.
So
Chucky H.
he's comes from a generation of Champenoise families of business focused, education, passionate, daring individuals, and that set the bar really high. And he wanted to do something different. And for one, he realized that a lot of the business in the Europe area was pretty much on lock. And at the time that he was around, everybody looked at the U.S. as crazy territory. They'd just gone through like the Civil War and a lot of crazy stuff going on there. Why would you go do business with them?
And savages, we ain't drinking wine.
Yeah, exactly. And instead, he was like, no, that's where I'm going, like the new territory, the new world. So he started the winery in 1851. In 1852, he ended up here in New York. He was the first champagne house owner to ever come to the U.S.
What?
So I often will say that Charles was the Forrest Gump of the champagne industry, because he traveled through the U.S. for a few years and he'd been through it all. He got arrested and locked up in New Orleans, being accused as a spy. He got bailed out of jail by Abraham Lincoln. We served Charles Heidsieck at Abraham Lincoln's second inauguration party. Charles ended up actually owning a piece of territory in the West, which is known in the city of Denver. He ended up he bought 5 miles of caves under the city of Reims for storing his wines and aging them. So, dude got around, and, incredible amount of experience and passion and guile really got him through that time. And so to this day, we honor him and his legacy by making wine in his vision of aging wines long in the cellar and blending them and releasing them when they're ready. And that's a legacy that will live on. And thankfully, we have a family owner that believes in that. And we're built for this. We invest in it every year into our reserve tanks, which is basically Charles's direction. We're filling it, and we're going even further. We're investing even heavier into our reserve tanks going forward. So Charles is back, and baby, we black. Let's go.
I love that. So, like, what is it like? I mean, very few people of color in any field, like, they give you like a blank checkbook. Like, I mean, not, I don't money, but like they're like, you tell us how to market us. Like, I mean,
it's guerrilla marketing, man. I'm doing this on a shoestring budget with some of the greatest wines ever made. And so I saw it as, if I can just get the bottles into people's hands, into their glasses, we're going to get this done. So about, 70% of my budget from the first year went into samples. I mean, just think about that. Like, I wanted to travel. I wanted to go see everybody. And I realized that, no, New York is ground zero for us. It was really about getting a foundation in New York before I could start, going to other cities. Mm-hmm. I knew there were some great cities that we could get some things going, either over phone or via email, but I knew I needed to be there as well. But for me, it was just like the sheer amount of people that needed to taste Charles, to either refresh themselves with the brand, to meet me, or to have the first experience with Charles was the most important thing. So it's pretty straightforward. It was get your feet on the ground with bottles, walking into doors, opening bottles, and pouring it for people, and letting the wine speak for itself, which it deserves. And so you can talk about a marketing campaign and all the crazy shit I did on Instagram, but like all that was free. I spent my time building those things and doing those events and using those marketing kind of techniques, but there was no budget behind it. So it was strictly just straight product and great wine and getting around great people and completely disrupting the like multi-billion-dollar machine that is the champagne industry. David versus Goliath. Like, yo, what's up?
Yeah.
Let's go. Give me one shot.
Is Charles related to the Piper Heidsieck family? Okay, so talk about that, because Piper's been around.
Yeah, so Piper, we go back to 1785, and the wineries are owned by our same owner, Christopher Descour, now.
Okay.
Back in the day, they were independent, but we own all three Heidsieck houses. So we have Piper Heidsieck, Charles Heidsieck, and then our crown jewel, which is rare champagne. So we have three houses.
I've just been seeing the rare pop up on social. Yeah.
This is a bad boy, man. It's a bad boy.
Is it?
It's a bad boy. So, I mean, Piper for me is like your sports car. Charles for me is like a Bentley. And Rare is like your track car, if I could show you kind of what it's like.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's our world, our Triforce of bubbles. But so, I mean, it's interesting. So yeah, there is a connection that we have from our ownership, but the winemaking teams are all individually separate. Obviously at Charles, we have such a unique cellar and aging space for our wines.
So he still owns that 5 miles of.
So we do own the caves. Yeah. Wow. It's incredible. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
Oh, wow.
And it's 47 individual caves that create this network of Crayères. It's a chalk deposit that was dug out by the Romans 2,000 years ago. And so, there's a lot of caves and cellars in Champagne, but a Crayères is a very unique one because it is chalk. And so there's only 4 other Champagne houses that own caves like this. However, we're the only Champagne house that is not open to the public, and we actually use our Crayères as a functioning winery. So, you can go on the tours to some of our neighbors, but we use our cellar independently for winemaking, and you got to call your boy if you want to come through.
All right. I'm going to get through there.
Yeah.
Who are some of your neighbors? I mean, just so people get it, because people understand,
so
the hood you're in.
Yeah, we're a house. So we buy about 90% of the grapes that we need for our year of harvest. The reason being there is because we want to age our wines for a long time. We want to have a little taste of the entire region. So we are a house. However, we're probably we are the smallest house. We make about 75,000 cases of wine per year.
Okay.
Our closest neighbor across the street is Ruinart.
Okay.
I think they are maybe 5 or 6 times bigger than us. And then down the street is Pommery.
Yep.
And then Taringet is down the street.
Okay.
And then Veuve Clicquot is also down the street.
Rhymes with love.
Yeah.
That's why I have this podcast, so I can learn.
Yeah, and then there's a great neighbor of ours that we see very eye to eye on how wine should be made in the region, and that's the House of Krug. So we believe in aged wines.
Well, it's so funny because I'm looking at just the your standard bottle. It's got a Krug gas shirt. Like you guys might be buying bottles from the same bottle maker.
Yeah, well, so
like
we actually, so our bottle shape is modeled after a particular hallway in our cellar.
Oh.
So in the Crayères, there's a hallway. If you go to my IG, there's a picture of me in there, and you see like little me in this giant, 100-foot ceiling. And we had an artist create a mold in shape of that hallway. So we have a proprietary bottle shape. It's so iconic.
Yeah.
This bottle is not in it because that bottle was designed in 2008, so this is the 2006.
Okay.
So maybe the next vintage. We'll see it in that shape. But You're right. It's eye striking. It catches. Your people ask why is it
Even
like
the
that?
foil, it's put together so well. Man.
I mean, it's a total package.
yeah.
Man. We don't,
I mean, that's a beautiful
you gotta-
bottle of wine.
and you never drink alone because Charlie's there with you.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So if
But,
you ever worried about, is it okay to drink alone? Well, just drink some Charles Heidsieck and you're not drinking alone. And just
No.
turn around and
Yeah, hit your boy on the IG,
Yeah.
and I'll be right there. No, so yeah, we have great neighbors, and it's an incredible honor to be around them because I think when you in that moment when you get pulled up from JV to varsity, you play better, right?
Yep.
But also, I think the biggest thing for us is that we couldn't be different if we didn't have our neighbors. We couldn't be the different guy.
Right.
And so when I say we're the black sheep, we literally are because we're so different from our neighbors. And that's what always compelled me about the region is that it's so diverse. When you look at the houses and you look at the growers, everybody's different. It's so symbiotic. And yet I think so many people are intimidated to explore the region because, first of all, it's expensive, but also they just assume that Champagne is all the same.
Right.
And so they're like, oh, it's just for celebration. No, you can go find a Meunier-based grower, and that's an incredible, breakfast champagne. And then you can find, something a little more decadent with some body and some richness and some age for your lunch. And then you can go over to rosé for dinner. And then you can have some really old, recent disgorged vintage stuff for your after dinner cigar. And you literally can have a whole day's worth of experiences from the entire region and its producers. So it's fascinating to me how there is literally a champagne for every single moment of the day.
Oh, shit. I love that. I do. That's so dope. I read online somewhere where you said something like you were asked, why champagne? And your answer was, because it's the best damn wine, dollar for dollar. You can
Yes.
drink it for any occasion, period.
Mm-hmm.
You were touching on that.
I'll
Expand
tell
on
you.
it.
I'll tell you. So the first one we had today was our flagship wine. It's called the Brut Reserve. And people will say, well, why do you say reserve? Reserve is a term that you can put on any bottle. There's no AOC connection, no requirement. But for us, we have our own family requirements of what a reserve is. So for us, it's minimum 40% of the bottle is comprised of wines that are aged for a minimum of 10 years.
Oh, shit.
So
Whoa.
for us to make a bottle of this, it takes about 21 years. And that's our entry level wine.
Right. Wow.
So on the shelf, we're talking $65, $70 on the shelf for a 20-year-old bottle of wine. Now, granted, it's not all 20
No,
years
but
old.
I mean, that's ridiculous.
That's what I'm saying. So when you look at, yes, we're not going to be the cheapest on the shelf, but when you see,
You said
what we do.
retail 65, but
Yeah.
but almost
Yeah.
over 20 years.
Yeah.
That's a steal.
Yeah.
That's a bargain.
I mean, I would agree with that. And some people sleep on the fact that because, you are intimidated by champagne or that it's white, that it can't age. And you're like, no, this took us 20 years to make this bottle. You can't rush this. You can't skip steps to make a wine like this.
And what's crazy is we got two wines here.
Yep.
This is 20 years. This is only 15 years old, but you said this is very rich. This is so special, when you declare
Correct.
the vintage. But
Correct.
but that's bananas. I mean, that is
This is the hardest wine for us to make.
yeah. Your entry level wine's the hardest
This
wine.
just needs Mother Nature in order
Right,
for us
right,
to make this
right,
wine. We can't make this without Mother Nature. We can kind of get around Mother Nature by blending.
Right, it's like
15
like
years.
a Solera type. You're blending different vintages.
It's a little crazier than the Solera
Claire's
process.
and Solera. Wow,
It's crazier because Solera is you just put it all into a bucket and let it do its thing. We're doing it all individually, So think about our winemakers making 260 wines every year. Think about that.
Wow.
And then he decides which ones make the cut for the current base year,
Right.
and then which ones make the cut for the reserve tanks.
Okay.
And so, he's looking at our stocks and saying, okay, well, we're going to use 96 this year for this year's base vintage, and that's going to be the range of wine. So, from 2017 to 1996, that'll be the range of age in the bottle when we release it in 6 years. That's what he's doing. So, but this is the first moment usually for people to experience a wine from Charles. So it's so important for us to put our best foot forward and more importantly, kind of give the end user a little glimpse of what Charles can do. The second wine we're having is the Apex Predator. I mean, this thing is a beast. It's a monster. It's so different than any other champagne I've ever tasted. Yet that's not for anyone to just have on their first experience. Like
Right.
you show them that and they're going to be like, oh, how dare you? You know, like I don't want this person to get mad at me. But you know, like I also don't want to crush their feelings when they're like, oh, is this how all champagne is? And you're like, no, this is like less than 1% of all champagne. So for you to understand the Blanc de Millénaire, you really have to walk through the door and experience the Brut Reserve.
Wow.
And you see the two they're completely different ones.
Completely different.
Yeah.
And you know what's so funny?
We like being different at Charles.
I know. They have you. and you know, and that's like kind of like I was going to talk about or ask you about. Like, so there's going to be a lot of people. I mean, this podcast is very interesting because it came off the gram, you know, and so a lot of people, they're gonna, if they don't know you, they'll start following you. But you have a nice following. Nique Somm. Like, I mean, you literally, like, when I first encountered, it was like, you have almost a larger than life persona for a Somm. Like, Somms can be, I mean, like, they can be so staid. I remember last year, like, there was like, Champagne Week. I guess, like, you had your masquerade thing on. I mean, you wear the fucking Hugh Hefner baller robes.
Show up.
You got.
Show up.
I mean, I said it earlier. Your fucking hair is dope. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's outrageous. It's like, it's awesome, right?
Yeah.
And like that's not something people would associate with champagne.
Yeah.
Like before you mentioned before, like it was a bit of an issue. They're like, who's this guy? But like, how is it now that you are the ambassador and you have forged this way, guerrilla marketing, and really have been allowed to be unique? Like, how'd you come up with Nique Somm and what's been? I mean, from what I can see, people love it. Like, I mean, like even your stories, like different way you're like when you're laughing, like you know, and you're like throwing up the. I mean, like it's just rock and roll champagne. I mean,
as I mentioned, you know, passion for me is so important, and authenticity is so important. When you see me do all that shit, like that's me, and it's me kind of tapping into that first special moment I had with a, you know, great glass of wine. And saying, wow, this is how this makes me feel, but all these old white people are looking at me, so I don't feel comfortable to do this. And I want to get like kicked out of here because this is really fucking good, but this is how I feel. So like now I'm able to feel confident that like I can't get kicked out of my own IG channel. So I'm just going to do me. And, you know, the pure joy and passion is something that I want to inspire in other people. Fashion is another thing that I absolutely love. And it was a way for me to honestly feel more confident about meeting others that didn't know me. You know, like when you come into my restaurant and you see that I'm wearing a suit and I see that I'm dialed in and, you know, like you have an immediate connection. Like, okay, I know this guy. Like he can tie a tie, or, you know, I like his suit. Like, who's your tailor? Or, oh, I love those shoes. Like you feel more confident to do business. And I hate to, you know, be direct like that we like to do business with people that we like looking at. But the reality is I have literally 2 minutes to convince you to trust me, and before I even say anything. So if I can't do that, then we're done. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so I saw that right away as a way to connect with others that don't know me. And so fashion is something that I absolutely love. Now I'm showing you the fashion that I wish I could wear on the floor. Again, you know, things that I wish I could do when I wasn't restrained by other people's fragility. So, you know, that's kind of me. And then I think to your point about like the brand, I found a brand that celebrates me being me, and celebrates being different from everybody else in the region. So it was just like it was a perfect match. And I remember talking after year one with the team being like, "Oh, I'm so proud that you guys found me." And they're like, "No, Philippe, like, we're so proud that we found you." You know, and again, it's so mutual that like I don't think I could do this with any other champagne house. As a matter of fact, I know I could never do this with any other champagne house, and I don't think any other champagne house would allow me to like, you know, someone else to do this the way that I am, in a way, which again seems so crazy to even say that, but like I'm different than any other ambassador by far. I mean, I don't know any other ambassadors really of color, or so it's a very unique moment, and I found it as I have to show what not only I can do, but what we can do for your brand, whether it's a winery or a distillery or whatever. I mean, I've been told by a very prestigious brand that sells to people of color, specifically black people, that they would never have an ambassador with dreadlocks represent their brand.
Oh yeah, I believe it.
And I was just like, oh, okay, like I get it. Like that's the world we live in, and I understand that. But I assumed at the time that I had, was applying for a national job, a brand job. Like, didn't you think you already like looked at what I looked like? Like you already kind of saw that, right? So why are we on interview 4 and you're telling me this? Like,
like.
Why are you even doing that?
Just
to
throw
me?
my shit in the garbage.
Let alone go fuck yourself.
Yeah, totally, man. That's the fucking answer.
You know what I'm saying?
There,
like, here am I trying to make an excuse for this person when
right.
I shouldn't be. But my point is, again, I found a home that I couldn't be more proud to be with, and these wines deserve so much, and so it is truly special to see what we've done in such a short period of time and where we're going. And it's incredible to see the excitement and the support around it. So many people tagging me, and like literally I'm on my phone and I'm like, oh my God, like this person's opening a bottle and this person's tagging me, and it just shows like what can be done when there's integrity, honesty, and passion behind it. So those budgets are great, but if you don't have those other 3, then I think you're never going to be able to compete.
Yeah, exactly, because that shit is like we just live in a different time. Marketing has changed. You said this earlier, like people buy from people they know, like, and trust, right? And that's why I think it's incredible that like you're very likable and you're very knowledgeable. But like this is a champagne brand, like let the black dude run with it. Like that's like some ballsy shit, and you're running with it. Like you're like give me the ball. I'm getting the answer. Give me the ball.
I'm not stopping.
Yeah.
I've
Let's
turned
go.
I've turned it up to a whole nother level this year. I don't know if you've seen my most recent post on IG, but I'm so proud. I mean, to show our brands now partnering with other really high profile brands and bringing them to, their communities. And that's really the next level for me, because it's like, that's a deal that normally you would pay for, and instead we're earning that mutual respect of a very prestigious brand.
Right.
And to say, look, like, we're different, you're different, let's do this together. And so yeah, no, we've got great things coming up in the future, and the future is very bubbly.
So I love that, man. And you touched on this just a few moments ago, and throughout our conversation. It's obvious you have other passions besides wine, hospitality, and champagne, like Cuban cigars are one. Fashion. How did you like, and also vintage cars and racing cars? Like, how did you like? Let's go back to, and we're gonna go. We take it back to where we started. How does a Polation from Evanston, Illinois, like? Rockin' Tom Ford's, like, how did you come to just see the world in a way that you've called? Talk about some of your favorite passions outside of wine, and how you see that, how it's you.
I mean, so thank you. I mean, I'm a product of my teachers, and I saw incredible things from my biological father. I remember, like, one of the last memories I had, he took me to a motorcycle race in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, so having motorsport in my earliest memories with him, and like, he always had, a motorcycle or, sports car. It makes sense that I am my father's son. And my stepfather, ironically, like also into cars. And so my biological father had an older Mazda RX-7. My stepfather, when he started dating my mom, had an RX-7, and it was just like, what's going on here? So crazy. And so there was always like this passion of motorsport and cars throughout my life. And so like I was just saying, like the partnership that I've been able to create recently with Ferrari has been
That's sick, by the way.
unbelievable.
That's fucking sick.
It's, I mean, I think I am probably the only Somm that I've ever heard of or know of that drives a Ferrari every day. Like, I don't know anybody else that does that. So I think I broke a barrier when I could say that I'm the first black champagne ambassador. I think I broke another barrier.
Listen, I love being the first black auctioneer, but like, you just smashed a barrier. It's like, you fucking sell champagne. They said, here's a Ferrari. Drive it.
I mean,
because you're dope as fuck. I mean, that's like, oh.
It's incredible to see love and support. And when you lead with your heart and your passion, doors open that you never thought were even there. And I think hustle, determination, hard work, all those things come together. And so, you know, my background and passion around motorsport, and, you know, life experiences was received, and you see it now kind of all coming together with these brands. And it's unreal. I literally, like, every day I'm like, I can't believe this is real life. But I would have said that 2 years ago as well.
Right.
So like, this is the reality, is that like I'm living my dream. And it's so crazy to think that, you know, I know a good buddy that I love watching him excel and develop and grow, George Walker III. He had this great post the other day. He was like, I am my ancestors' greatest dream. Mm-hmm. And I remember seeing that, being like, yeah, like, here we are, you know. I know that my pops would be like blown away to see this. Yeah. And I'm going to do it, you know. Like, can't even believe this is happening. And, I mean, here we go.
I feel you. I mean, this podcast, my smile, my ability to connect with people, that's my mom.
Yeah.
My mom passed away 2 years ago. And then my sister passed away a year ago. My sister she was my biggest fan. My biggest fan. My mom was my nemesis because we were so much alike. But my sister would just be overjoyed to that my voice is out there and that people downloads to it. And man, it's crazy. Yeah, you're the only freaking Somm who's driving a Ferrari. But there's no doubt. There's no doubt in my mind. And then the fashion, I was like, how the fuck is he affording Tom Ford suits working at a family restaurant? Like, what's that about, man?
Oh man.
And he's a big dude. He's like 6'4". I mean, like this shit's got to get tailored, man. I mean, like,
my first trip to New York, my first stop when I got here, my first time out here with my pops, we came in 2004 for I think it was right around Halloween, my dad's a big Frank Zappa fan, so we were here for a show called Zappa Plays Zappa, and obviously we when we travel with my pops, it's like 4 or 5 restaurants a day, like there's just nonstop.
I love that.
It's crazy, and it's crazy to the point where there were times where we sit down and I'm like, I can't eat anything more, but I asked for one place to go stop and see when I was in town, and it was Tom Ford, and I got there. And I was just like, I need to see the store. At the time, there wasn't one in Chicago. And I'd just been like buying stuff from the store via phone, calling them and being like, hey, send me this, send me that. And so I said, okay, I'm in town. I have to make this happen. So I literally go to the store and I'm like, oh my God, this is like, you know, this is amazing. Everything here is dope. And I realized that I don't fit in any of this shit. But the guy said, he was like, yo, I have a suit that is from last season that no one really fits into. You actually might fit in it. And I was like, oh, okay, well, like, all right, like, can't afford this, but let's talk. So he's like, just try it on. And when you go to Tom Ford, like, they welcome you with an espresso, you know, they hand you a glass of champagne. I found out horribly when I took a sip that it was Prosecco, but you know, like, you take your shoes off, they ask you your size, they're gonna bring you some shoes. I take my shoes off and I'm like, my toes are grabbing the carpet and I'm like, wow, this is some
This is the nicest
some
carpet I've ever
ultra, This is the nicest carpet I've ever been on.
Tom Ford carpet.
It's Tom Ford carpet. Like, he's got TF in his own carpet. You know, when I say the man's got his own money and man's got his own money, you know? So I'm like, they got me totally, right? I got to do this. And so they bring the suit out, and I'm just like, there's no way it's going to work. I put it on, and it fit like a glove. And I was just like, holy shit, I have to make this work now. And so straight up maxed out my credit card to buy that suit. And I remember, like, about to leave, and they're like, oh, you know, like, where are you from? And I was like, oh, I'm from Chicago. They're like, oh, how long are you in town? I'm like, oh, I'm staying for a couple of days to go to these restaurants. And they're like, oh, well, you know, we could ship the suit for you if you want. And I was like, oh, perfect. And he was like, yeah, you just saved, you know, $800 on tax because we were going to ship you this suit. And I was like, yeah, things that you didn't know when you buy suits, because you always ship that shit, you know, like, you don't buy it and take it in store. First of all, I didn't want to carry that shit back home. And secondly, yes, I wanted to save.
I was like, I just got $800 back on my credit card.
I was like, literally like, yo, got money for dinner now. That's one meal. Nobu, here we go. You know, whatever. But yeah, I think for me, it's always been about pushing the envelope, you know, like financial stability has not really been a big focus of mine. And that's an incredible privilege that my parents gave me, that I knew that I could always fall back on a job. You know, like I knew that if I didn't go out and push for something, it didn't come through, I would always have a job to go and like earn it back or work it off. But I just always been trying to push for something more. And I think that's what, you know, you're seeing now is I've continued to push on so many different levels for space and also for, you know, for our brand. And here we go.
And then I know, so I know, like I saw on your IG, you know, yesterday, which is not going to mean anything because this is not going to drop for like 3 weeks, but just because I'm so backed up. But anyway, but like, you know, another one of your passions is cigars. You have a stick here, and you know, you just chewing on a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, so how'd you get into? I mean, like, you are. Luxury. How'd you get into, you know, good cigars, good sticks?
Well, for me, it was like a little bit of a moment of connection with my pops after service. We would have a cigar every now and then. After service, it was calming, and he would have cigars that people would give him or he would buy when we traveled. He would always go to a humidor at a cigar shop when we traveled because you can get Cuban cigars in other countries. So he would bring them back. I found myself kind of just finding a connection. I was never into cigarettes, never really into any other
other smokables.
I was never really into the other extracurriculars. I'll partake, but it's not really
not
like,
your
you know.
thing. Yeah.
I think I'm gonna be honest and say I'm too much of a control freak. Like, I would always drive, so like, you know, when it came to managing my balance, I think my balance is something that I've been very confident of. And so a cigar after service was a really unique kind of experience to be able to share it, because I felt like it got everybody to sit down and shut the fuck up. You know, like, we wouldn't be on our phones. We wouldn't be worried about other things. It's like, it's such a relaxing experience. And so cigar for me was like a connection with the other people in the room. And it's a very social thing. I don't really smoke by myself. So last year was really tough for me. But yeah, so cigar became initial like a social thing to get to connected. And then I realized I could learn more about cigar production and terroir.
Yeah, it's the same. It's like
And
wine,
then I
right?
was like, holy shit, there is such a connection with wine and cigars. Like, cigar goes through 7 fermentations. Like, Cuba is like the Burgundy of tobacco production in the world. And then here I am, like, pairing cigars with wines. And then I find the most incredible pairing, and it's cigars and champagne. And people say, you're crazy. And I go, you're right, but try it and then tell me that I'm still crazy.
Right.
And so every time that I show somebody a cigar with a glass of champagne, they're like, this is genius. And I'm like, no, it's really simple. Like, they work because, you know, you've got one earthy terroir-driven thing. You got another thing that's really bright, fresh, and also terroir-driven. And they're like yin and yang. You have this weighty experience, and then you have this lifted experience. And also, don't forget, Winston Churchill was doing this shit for breakfast, lunch, and dinner like all his life.
Yeah.
The guy was drinking a bottle of champagne for breakfast, lunch, and dinner and had a cigar the whole day. So not that I'm like, a huge historian, but I mean, the guy was onto something, and you check it out and you be the judge. But
Right.
my favorite pairing is a vintage rosé champagne with a vintage Cuban cigar. I think it is the craziest way to show terroir, age, and expression in a glass. That's a non-food pairing, Gotta do it. So the next studio we're having a cigar in, right?
Yeah,
Because I really want to.
No,
this.
we will do something. We'll do. You come down to my house. I got a patio. We'll hire some interns. We'll just sit out there.
Oh,
We'll
okay,
drink
yeah.
'em. Bring a mag. Bring your wife.
Size matters. Yes.
Size matters.
All day, every day.
And we'll do this.
Yeah.
Oh man, shit, man. I mean, it's been fucking incredible sitting down, man, and hearing your story and your passion. Something I want to say is, like, people say, I want to be on. I'm gonna go right out and say, follow your passion is bad advice unless you're good at your passion, and you're good at it, right? Like you're great at it. Like, and here's the thing: you can follow your passion, but what you've done, you've carved out a niche, right? Like we've talked about it, right? We've talked about. They said no. We're lucky we found you, right? What you have done is become so good that you cannot be ignored, right? So for all those other companies you work for motherfuckers having you come in for 4 interviews and be like, well, your hair is not going to work for us. You know what? And your hard work, you've become so good that you cannot be ignored. And this is just the tip of the iceberg for you, man. I can see it. I see you at like the Grand Prix of Monaco with a fucking Methuselah of Heidsieck and a stick there with the winning fucking team.
Coming soon.
And it's with Ferrari when they fucking win.
Yep.
And you're there.
Yep.
And so, man, good for you. I mean, good for you.
I'm
man.
taking everybody with me. Let's go.
Yeah.
I get on the stage, everybody gets on the stage. That's the way it is. We're going to include everybody. We're going to show up, be proud, and show you how it can be done. So,
Philippe Andre, thank you so much, man, for making this happen. You guys don't even know. This is almost a miracle that this happened. Tell people where they can find you, how they can be a part of what you're doing, and watch this incredible journey you're on.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at Nique Somm. You can find our wines at charlesheidsieckchampagne.com. Let's go. Reach out to me, DM me. Let me know when you're in town. I'm based in Chicago, but I'm ready to go. Going to start traveling next month. I'll be in Houston in a few weeks. Can't wait to go see my fam there and coming to a city near you. So let's get it.
All right, man. So, hey, everybody, what's up? It's MJ. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I had a great guest. Beyond that, just a great time connecting with this brother. Amazing entrepreneur, visionary, marketer, all of it. Just Renaissance man. So until the next time, let's cheers to the Mavericks, the philosophers, the deep thinkers, and all you champagne drinkers. Peace.